biggest lie in the church today is that you can be a Christian without being a disciple. Because by the way we live, we seem to think that believing in Jesus is necessary, but actually following him is optional. We think that trusting in Jesus as Savior is enough, but obeying him as Lord is additional. It's almost as if we say, God has to save me regardless of how I live, as if it was doctrinal. And I think it's because we have this divisional mindset between these two beings, Christian and disciple. A mindset that says, you can have his cross without taking yours up. You can have the treasure in the field without selling your stuff. You can come and take for nothing the pearl of great cost. You can have his life without making yours lost. Because that is what's being taught when we say, hey, come be a Christian, but we don't disciple each other in how to obey. So today, we have a church that believes you can have the truth and the life without even walking in the way. You can claim your roots are in God, even if his fruits you never display. You can have salvation as long as you just know the right words to say. Even if you don't follow Jesus, you can still take his name. Talk about taking God's name in vain. I mean, we come to Christ's veins week after week, and we drain and still look nothing like the Jesus on whom we've prayed. No wonder so many of us are unsatisfied with this thing we call the Christian life. It's because we've tried to put a divide in what God has made inseparable. You see, you cannot be a Christian if you are not also a disciple. Because this title, disciple, isn't a synonym for Christian that we find in our Bibles. No, a disciple is a student, a follower, an apprentice, a learner, a practitioner, ambassador, a doer, a liver. A disciple is not just a believer, but one who embodies that which is believed and becomes an exact copy of their teacher. So you see, Christians listen, but disciples reply. Christians hear, but disciples apply. Christians demand, but disciples supply. Christians may live, but disciples die. That is why Jesus could say, anyone who does not hate their mother or father, sister or brother, even their own life to which they feel entitled, is not fit to be my disciple. So you see, this call to discipleship is going to require some revival. Because in our churches and in our pulpits, in our pews and in this poet, there is the belief of a Christian, but not the action of a disciple. And so we have to ask ourselves the question, am I a follower of Christ, or am I just a Christian? Am I a member of the church, or am I just in attendance? Am I a citizen of heaven, or am I just hoping for admittance? Am I a disciple of Christ? Do I even bear a passing resemblance? Because if we don't look a thing like the Father, how can we call ourselves his children? But as his children, we must be reminded of this, that we don't live the life of the disciple by our own strength, but by his. Because the call he places on our life is light. But the one we put on ourselves is too heavy to even lift. Because he doesn't call us to go out and conquer the world, but to simply follow after him. He doesn't call us to feel shame and guilt, but to run from our chains into his freedom. He doesn't call us to save ourselves, but to trust in his salvation. He doesn't demand that we be perfect, but to rest in his perfection. So you see, the life of a disciple is not one of moral excellence, but one of simple submission. So let us submit to his cross and die to ourselves. Submit to his worth and die to our wealth. Submit to his glory and die to our fame. Submit to his honor and die to our name. Because a disciple is not what the best Christians become.
come, but what all Christians are when to Jesus they run. Thank you guys so much.